Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Roughie's Football Show, sponsored by Arnold Clark. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff, Tam McManus and Charlie Adam here with me on a glorious Friday. Sun splitting the trees, hopefully splitting the trees wherever you are as well. Don't forget to follow us on our Facebook, join the football family on our YouTube channel as well by hitting the subscribe button. Thank you very much to everyone who's backed us, reading our news and obviously staying with us on the show. Hard to believe it, that full year in lockdown. Won't be long, guys. Won't be long, Roughie, before we're all back together, sitting around this couch having a bit of banter. I can't wait for that.
Yeah, well, I think it's getting better and better. Obviously, the vaccinations are helping, and everybody's beginning to be positive about certain things. And of course, we're interested in the football solely, and we just want to see fans back in the grounds, and we want to be in the grounds with fans as well. And I'm sure the players do as well. So next year, I think beginning next year will be the turning point, and it can't come sooner.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great, Roughie. Next year.
Next season.
Next season. Thanks for that, Roughie.
All right.
I thought it was just going to go on.
Just why you can hibernate for 6 months.
Yeah, that's exactly. I know. If I don't get a night out with the lads soon, I think I'm going to go stir crazy. Although you've kept us going, Roughie, because you've had great photographs behind you of your heroics at World Cups, and now you've just lost the plot. You're just putting our Willie pictures up there and gatherings of your family. Is that fair?
It's actually a limited edition, believe it or not. There was only one. It's one of, so it's and it is obviously that. Well, it might be if it interests anybody who's watching.
Okay.
I'll interest Matt Pocket if you're out for a party again. I'll go missing.
Just about to say, don't forget, Ruffy's now launched his own shop on the football show. It's as simple as that. So if you want to buy anything that's behind him or what he's wearing, then be my guest. Lots of football, Scottish Cup football to talk about. And of course, we discussed it yesterday late on in the show. Of course, Eddie Howe now looks as if he's red hot favourite. Unless, Roughie, and I'll put this little caveat in, unless somebody makes a blindside run and offers him a Premier League job in the summer.
Yeah, well, seemingly he's been offered a couple of the teams that are on their way out, you know. I just think the Celtic supporters need to get their head around him, you know, and I know he's not a massive big name, but I think he's beginning to appease some of the supporters. You know, he's managed in a Premier League. He's come up against fantastic sides and fantastic managers. It might just be a role model of Steven Gerrard. You know, if he's going to be identifying some English players as Steven Gerrard has, you know, that have been quality for Rangers, that might be the way ahead if they're not going to be spending a lot of money. So he'll certainly have enough contacts. I do particularly like him at the press conferences and the way he speaks and the way he talks about the game. So the other candidates haven't sort of bit into anybody at all. So if he's the one, I think they'll just have to go on with it.
Yeah, Charlie, what do you make of him? I've watched a few of his coaching videos. Obviously, we've witnessed him in press conferences, after match, pre-match as well. A young man who certainly made an impression in the coaching stakes and the way Bournemouth have played in the Premier League.
I don't get why people are saying this is not a good appointment. You know, as if like he's never coached in his life, and you know, he's been managing the Premier League 6 or 7 years at a club that's probably got a fan base of 10,000 people. They were spending a lot of money, big salaries, big transfer fees for players, and like you say, sometimes the cycle comes to an end, and it just come to an end probably at Bournemouth for him. And I know a couple of lads that play there, and the man, he's in there 7 a.m. in the morning, won't leave till 6 o'clock. He puts his heart and his soul into everything that he does. I hear he's a very good coach. So I think Celtic supporters should be happy with this appointment. This is still a big name. So if I was Celtic, I think this is going back to the Brendan mould of he'll want to play the right way. He'll get it down. He'll want to pass it, and it'll be exciting. players in Celtic's team, the wingers will be, have speed. They want to come in from the offside, off the touchline into play and get out wide and put crosses in the box as well. So I think this is a good appointment if Celtic can get this over the line.
Yeah, that's it's an interesting stats that he's got from his time at Bournemouth, Tam. I mean, have a look at the overall percentage-wise, 42% win ratio. Everybody looks at stats. I mean, it's not exactly one of those glamorous clubs. Our Celtic fans may be spoiled every now and then over the last 20 or so years with that big name that comes in that's just suddenly available at the right time for them.
Yeah, I think they are. I think obviously you're looking to Brendan Rodgers. I think he was a massive name. A lot of Celtic fans, a lot of people didn't think Brendan Rodgers would come to Celtic. He was still looking for a big job in England. He done really, really well at Liverpool. Nearly won the league there. So I think there's a lot of Celtic fans looking at kind of his name and what he's done and what clubs he's managed. But I agree with Charlie. I think it'd be a really, really good appointment. He's probably stayed at Bournemouth a year longer than he should have. It's all about timing for players and managers, but let's not forget, I think he got in the top 8 at one point with Bournemouth in the top 8 in the Premier League. And he was getting linked to Arsenal, the England job. He was getting linked to every single big job that was coming up in England. And he probably should have went. He probably should have left. But he maybe stayed at Bournemouth and thought he could maybe take them even higher. But, if top 8 for Bournemouth, I mean, that is probably their highest ever league position. And he's probably... he's definitely overachieved. So I think that he's a great appointment. I like the way he speaks. I like, as you said, Peter, I've seen his wee training session. I like the way he coached and I like the way he spoke to players. So, no, I think it'd be an exciting one for a lot of Celtic fans.
Yeah, Peter, I mean, let's put it in perspective.
Peter, sorry, this won't come cheap. He'll be an expensive manager.
Yeah, $4 million a year
he will be on $100,000 a week. Nearly £5 million a year at Bournemouth. It's a lot of salary. Yeah? So Celtic will be getting a manager that's hungry. And I was talking about it yesterday, or no, this morning. People saying, let's go to Palace, and what is he going to do at Crystal Palace? He may as well come to Celtic and have an opportunity to go and win a title, try and get into a Champions League, and rebuild his reputation as a good young manager again after the disappointment getting relegated with Bournemouth. So I think if they can get Celtic and get Eddie Howe, I think it'll be a very good signing.
Yeah, I must admit, I'm happy you phrased it that way, Charlie, because every now and then how am I going to put this? Every now and then there's a real disdain down south to anything up here. And what happens and what the size of the job, Roughie. And I hear some pundits who I think are absolutely clueless on how big Celtic and Rangers are. They talk about, the Crystal Palace job's a better job, the Newcastle United job is a better job. And I just think to myself, you clearly haven't got a clue about Celtic and Rangers. These clubs are massive globally. It's a job that if you get it right, then you will have the pick of the top jobs down in England again, or at least the top 10 if you get it right. There is no doubt in my mind, Roughie, Steven Gerrard in the next couple of years, if he gets this right, is primed to head back down to where his heart lies. There is no doubt in my mind that Eddie Howe, if he gets the job, if he gets it right, suddenly his stock rises again. But some of the comments over the last couple of days I've found are absolutely laughable. If Celtic and Rangers had 3 or 4 years in the Premier League, Roughie, it would only be 3 or 4 years before they were wiping the floor with the likes of a Crystal Palace and a Newcastle for me.
Well, there's no doubt about that. If they got the money that was being handed out down there, that the quality of player would be much better. But even when Steven Gerrard played with Liverpool and everything he's done down in England, I bet he got a surprise when he came to Rangers in the early stages, with the 50,000 supporters, the demands of Rangers and Celtic. I mean, down in England, it's spread out with 5 or 6 or 7 teams. Up here, it's the 2 teams, and as we keep saying, you have to be first. And that'll be something, although he's experienced a wee bit of it with Liverpool, the demands on the manager are incredible up here because of the amount of supporters that are all over the world, and you have to be successful. You have to be more successful than Rangers. And that's a massive thing that if you're a top manager, you'll buy into. You want that kind of thing, forcing you on and trying to make you better.
And of course, as I'm Tam, this is what Dermot does. Dermot Desmond just quickly gets a man, gets them in his mind, meets him somewhere, sits down and says, "This is what you've got. This is what's on offer. Here's your budget. Do you want the job?" And I think it's as simple as that. And I think we're now in that process.
Yeah, definitely. I think that he's right. I think he was on £4 million a year, at Bournemouth. So he's only come up here. He's going to be on a Brendan Rodgers type salary. I don't know, 60, 70 grand a week. But if he does the same job as Brendan Rodgers, then he'll be worth every penny. Brendan Rodgers was a revelation at Celtic. Maybe probably apart from being in Europe, but domestically, he absolutely wiped the floor with Rangers. So I think that Eddie Howe comes up and does the same, wins the title, wins maybe the treble again, gets him into the Champions League. Then I think it'll be money well spent. But you're right, Dermot Desmond, he goes about his business very, very quietly. And there's been nothing coming out. As you know, all the journalists have been scrambling about for information. Everything's been done on the quiet. And it just appears now that Eddie Howe is going to become the new manager at Celtic.
The manager situation is not the issue. I think it's the recruitment is the issue for next season, on players going out, players that are not good enough that are going to come back from the loans, trying to get rid of them. Existing players on big contracts that are still there that have not performed to the level they think they have. He's got a big job on his hands, and if Celtic don't act quickly and spend well enough, Rangers will be 2 or 3 titles ahead of them, and that's as blatant as I see how it is. That Celtic is in a bad way, and they have to get it sorted quickly.
Celtic have got to get it right, Peter. They've got to get this right. There's no bedding in. There's no bedding in period. They've got to get it right straight away with Eddie Howe.
And the other thing about it, which we're hearing now, Roughie, as well as I thought with Nick Hammond leaving, there might have been areas where I think Celtic were happy with him, but certainly when you look at the recruitment, I thought it was very poor. No surprise he's gone. And if Eddie Howe is coming in, he's certainly going to want his own team. And he's going to want to maybe change it around drastically. We've seen a couple of players, obviously Scott Brown's heading to Aberdeen, but we're now in a situation where I think we'll see Celtic start to offload more of the players that have got no chance next season. Roughie, Patrick Klimala, there's talk here of New York Red Bulls maybe looking at taking him, and he's been a disappointment. He just hasn't cut it here.
No, he hasn't. In the early stages when he was given a couple of games, he looked as if he was going to do it, but never ever materialised. And that's the other thing the Celtic supporters will be looking at. What kind of calibre of player is he going to bring in? The first thing he is going to ask is, what's my budget? What have I got to play with? And then you'll see the kind of players that he's going to bring in. But we saw what Steven Gerrard's done year on year with the players that he's brought in. And if he's got that kind of thing that he can tap into through being down in England that long, it might not be the European route he'll go down now. It might be that same route that Steven Gerrard's went down. And we saw the quality that he's brought up eventually. So, I think if he gets the job, I think he'll have. I think the Celtic supporters will buy into whatever he's doing.
I'll tell you, it'll be interesting next season if he does indeed come, because Rangers will be champions. They'll be trying to build again. I mean, Fiona Docherty, who watches the show on a regular basis, says, Charlie, Rangers are miles in front of Celtic. It will take years to catch them up. Well, I can remember being said when Dick Advocat was there, it would take Celtic 5 years to catch them. It took them 3 games. And then people were saying when Celtic were with Brendan Rodgers, it would take Rangers years to catch them. Well, he left, and it's taken Steven Gerrard, a couple of years of building, and Rangers have overtaken Celtic. So, as you know, Charlie, it swings and roundabouts and quickly, depending on the right plan.
No, listen, it'll be, if I'm Rangers at the moment, it'll be come the summer, trying to win the Scottish Cup, a deep breath, realising where we're at. We've won a title, but we have to reinvest. I'd expect the board and Steven to be on to investing in players and spending, not big money, but enough money that will get them into this Champions League. And I believe that Rangers can get into the Champions League. So they have to have a bit of a gamble, which I think they will. But I just think Celtic have to, like you say, there's too much going on with players got out of contract, who's leaving, what's going on, and having to find a director of football or a sporting director, whatever you want to call it. So I do think if Celtic don't get it right, I think Rangers can go ahead. But listen, if Celtic go and invest big numbers in the summer and back their manager, then it's all back to square one. And you're fighting out again. Who can go and get the best run? Who can start well to try and win that title again? So I wouldn't rule anything out, and it's going to be as fierce as ever next season.
Yeah, Ian Noble is a bit radical sometimes with his suggestions. This one, I think, might actually be met with a few people who'll be angry. He says, the next disrespectful comment that comes from south of the border, we should march to Derby. I'm not sure. I'm at 5k at the moment, and I don't think I could march to Derby. I think we're just going to have to suck it up, Roughie, and the constant disdain for our game from down south. Although, to be fair, listen, there's been a few scalps taken along the way when they've played in European football. I think Celtic and Rangers have given a really good account of themselves in European encounters against English opposition, Roughie.
Yeah, they certainly have. I mean, all the Rangers supporters will remember the Leeds United game. Celtic supporters will remember the game against Leeds United, and they've equipped themselves again against Man United and Arsenal and numerous occasions. So I think both teams have went back a wee bit since then because English clubs have kept spending and better quality. So, but at the end of the day, we've all seen it doesn't matter what team you're at in a one-off game. You've always got a chance, and particularly at home. But no, I think it's the next season will be an interesting season for both sets of fans because, as Charlie says, I would expect Rangers to bring in another 2 or 3, and Celtic will have to bring in maybe 6 or 7. So everybody, every supporter loves a player getting the name in the back of the papers, and then when it goes through, they can chat about it, and that's what being a supporter is all about.
Yeah, I'm glad you've narrowed it down to 6 or 7, Roughie.
6 or 7.
Yeah, I think you're on a low estimate there, to be honest with you. They might need 2 parts of Hamilton buses. Anyway, apart from anything else, Robert McLeod says, never mind Celtic. Peter, Glasson, Brown and Russell is where it's at. Yes, we're going to be talking about Aberdeen as well. We're talking about the Scottish Cup. Apologies to Hearts fans, they're not involved in the Scottish Cup this weekend. You are, Charlie. Is it something that excites you?
Yeah, no, it's. I think the Scottish Cup, obviously, with no fan, I think it makes it a little bit special. The Scottish Cup is the Scottish Cup. It's the history behind it, and some of the smaller clubs get an opportunity to win it in the last while as well. Apart from Celtic before that, but it's something that I'd never really. I'd done an interview yesterday about it, and I could all remember going back to playing for St Mirren really when we beat Motherwell 3-0 in the Scottish Cup. And so they're the things you remember. But it's a big game for us because we're playing against a team above us, a league above. Obviously, won the League Cup. But on the day, like you say, it's a one-off game, and we fancy our chances.
Yeah, absolutely. I still think there's a real attraction about the Scottish Cup. Of course, Celtic are against Falkirk. The favourites undoubtedly will be Rangers for this tournament. Celtic's John Kennedy says they want to try and put all the misery of this season behind them and finish on a high with possibly the Scottish Cup still in the cabinet.
We're used to success, we're used to winning. We're at a club that demands that, so it's very much the competition will start this weekend is really important for us. One, for the campaign itself, but for the players themselves, the hunger to go on and keep winning, and keeping that kind of balance of getting that you get used to winning in terms of it becomes part of your nature, it becomes part of your season in, season out, in terms of striving for winning as many competitions as possible.
Yeah, Roughie, can I ask you about Falkirk? Is there a shock on the cards here? They're top of League One, they're 4 ahead of Cove Rangers and 8 ahead of your lot. So, what do you make of them?
We played them early on. We drew against them twice. They have got players. Wee boy Morrison's quite sharp up front. But you have to think the Rangers have got far too much in their locker for them. I know Rangers
Celtic are playing them.
Oh, sorry, Celtic. But for me, the cup final is a big trophy, and the cup final is usually the last game of the season. And if you win that cup, a lot of supporters will forget completely about what's happened the rest of the season. They'll go away in a happy mood they'll go away, talking about the next season rather than what's went ahead. So I think it's a massive cup for Celtic. It's something they need to win to banish everything that's went this year.
Yeah. Just as a follow-up to that, are you surprised that John and George are no longer contributing to the Beatles' back catalogue, Roughie, or are you just taking it as a given?
No, I knew they've moved on. I knew they've moved on a wee bit.
That's fine. Just got to check with you. Okay. Still no bids in for the Urwally picture.
Right.
Roughie, so calm your jets. Listen, Charlie, Alan McGregor, best goalkeeper in the country. This season he's been absolutely magnificent. He's got himself that 1 year extension. Everybody's been waxing lyrical about him. Some people don't want to talk about him and they've just walked off the set, but I know you'll want to talk about him, Charlie.
Not thoroughly deserved. And if I was Steve Clarke, I would be calling him up and saying to him, do you want to come to the Euros? I think he's that good. I think he's still one of the top 10 goalkeepers in the UK. His performances last season merits that, and he's in fine form. And I think that if we can get McGregor in that squad for the Euros, it gives us a better chance of winning football matches. So I would like to hopefully see Steve have a chat with him. I don't think it'll happen, but I think you've got to look at the avenue, because if any of our goalkeepers get injured, we have to have a backup. And if he's available and would like to do it, I think it's something we've got to look at.
Well, the Rangers assistant, Gary McAllister, says absolutely no surprise whatsoever that they wanted him to sign another deal.
Massive workhorse, the way he comes in here every day and his preparation for games is pretty stunning. All goalkeepers work extremely hard. During my time as a player and through working at clubs, goalkeepers, they are different. They're different makeup to outfield players. But Alan he really is something different.
Yeah, he's different. Roughie. I love the way Gary Mack just says goalkeepers are different.
Yeah, yes. You can see through his career there have been occasions when he's lost it a wee bit, but you are different. Everybody's different. Every player's different, and that's what's good about football. But he's right. The goalkeepers do train hard. Goalkeepers, just give me the ball. Don't make me run. Don't make me run around the park or make me do doggies or anything like that. Just fire balls at us and you be there all day. And that's the way most goalkeepers are.
Yeah, just for the benefit of our younger viewers, doggies is when you're running across the park constantly. Just in case
it's not what Roughie's doing tonight.
Just in case you thought Roughie was back in the Playboy Mansion there again. But nevertheless, yes, Alan McGregor, an absolute no-brainer to get him involved. I understand where Charlie's coming from, but I think maybe Alan is at this point now where he's saying to himself, I want to keep myself solely for the club at my age to try and prolong that playing career, and he's got a nice little deal and well deserved, because of Tam. Some of his saves this season have been superb.
Yeah, he's like a fine wine, isn't he? He's getting better with age, and he shows no sign of stopping, and he's in great condition. He trains hard. You can see him. He's very, very lean, very fit, doesn't carry any weight. I think he can do running as well, Roughie. So, no, listen, I think that it's a tremendous signing for Rangers. I think he's happy there. He just got married. He's settled in Scotland. And I think it's fantastic news for the Rangers supporters. But I don't agree with Charlie. I think that the guys like David Marshall and Craig Gordon should get the opportunity after getting us there to go and play.
No, they should, but what happens if one of them gets injured? Where do we go from there? Because there's nobody in Scotland good enough for that.
Yeah, listen, it's a good point. I'll tell you one thing: if the SOS went out, I'm sure Alan would, Charlie, because you know him, you've played with him. I'm sure he's one of those guys that would
You've been Vegas in the summer.
Well, I'm sure he'd put himself forward. I'm sure he'd put himself forward. Anyway, half the people on here are laughing when your line, he's like a fine wine, says the boy from East Kilbride who only drinks Lambrusco and Blue Nun.
He's like a fine buck.
when was the last time you drank a good bottle of wine? Although you might be doing that if you win this competition, because one of us is going to have to foot the bill. Anyway, apart from anything else, Rangers against Cove Rangers, no doubt, will be one of those ones.
Staunch derby.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, Rangers are expected to win it, Tam, and Rangers are expected to win the Scottish Cup. The way things have been going, they'll be keen to get the double.
Yeah, I think the favourites, Peter. Spoke about it yesterday. I think that Rangers must go into the Scottish Cup campaign as favourites. They've got a settled team. They're champions. Celtic, for me, are still in a bit of disarray with the manager and different things and players wanting away. So Rangers hot favourites, and a lot of the smaller clubs, maybe your Hibs and your Aberdeen would be hoping to maybe draw against each other at some point in the tournament, so they can maybe get to the final and have a crack at them. But Rangers, big time for me, are favourites, and rightly so.
The downside, Charlie, is Ryan Jack is unable to shake off this calf injury. He's been seeing some specialists. It's proving to be problematic for him, especially after such a good season for him.
Yeah, he's stalled a little bit for this part of the season. It's a bit of a worry because I heard Gary McAllister saying he's been down in London trying to get to the bottom of it. He obviously posted on his Instagram that it's been a frustrating bit for him. So yeah, I think he has to get to the bottom of it. Listen, there's nothing really for them to play for apart from the Scottish Cup. This tie, you'd expect Rangers to get through, but he'll want to try and get some game time between now and the end of the season to go for the Euros, to be fit and sharp, trying, like I say, being part of that squad to get to the Scottish Cup final. So it's it is a worry because they've obviously not got to the bottom of it, but hopefully they get some good news from being done in London, and then they can progress it from there and have a programme for him to then to get fit for the remaining games of the season.
Yeah, Gary McAllister wants the Scottish Cup in the bag as well, as he's looking at it as a continued period of success for Rangers.
That's the thing that we'll emphasise to the players. There is a little mini season, as you say, with the league games. There's nice targets, and there's stuff to get inspiration of trying to go through those 5 fixtures well. But also the chance of getting a good run in the cup and getting to Hampden, in the 21st, 22nd of May. So that's what we're going to try, and we want to finish pushing.
Yeah, Roughie, Cove Rangers and Paul Hartley's already said he's going to rest a few key players because clearly they're in the promotion race.
Yeah, and quite rightly so. They've had a tremendous season. I think anybody that see this game will be impressed the way that Paul's got his team playing. They like to build up for the back. Sometimes they overdo it a wee bit, but the players are confident enough to play football. It's not a hit and run. It's very good football on the eye. They don't tend to score a lot of goals, so I don't think they'll trouble Rangers at all. I just can't see it. But they'll go there and enjoy it. But he's thinking the way I'm thinking. There are more important things around the corner. We all want to get out of this league and get back into the Championship, and it'll be interesting to see what players he leaves out.
Yeah, absolutely. There's quite a few games. Here's a look at the fixtures on offer in the Scottish Cup this weekend. Excuse me, Celtic Falkirk, Rangers against Cove Rangers, Highland Derby, Cracker, Ross County, Inverness, Dundee against St Johnstone. Again, it is viewed as a derby because
it's not a derby, Peter.
I know that, but it's because of the historical nonsense. Livingston, Raith Rovers, Ayr United, Clyde, East Fife, Morton, Stenhouse, Muir, Kilmarnock. So there's page one after being told off by Charlie. Brora Rangers against Stranraer, Forfar, Edinburgh City, Hamilton Accies, St Mirren, Formerton against Motherwell, Dundee United against Partick Thistle. What a cracker that is. Queen of the South against Hibs. There you are. Dumbarton against Aberdeen as well. So there's the overall fixtures that we can look forward to. Of course, the one thing you don't want is a cup shock. Brora Rangers certainly happy with their tie, Tam, now that they've managed to knock out the Minnows Hearts.
Yeah, listen, I mean, obviously they managed to get through against Hearts in the last round, which was nice for them. But I think Stranraer are just leaving just now to get up to Brora. That's some trek in it. So I think that'll be a tough game for Stranraer. That must be, I don't know, 4 or 5 years in the bus.
Yeah, absolutely. But listen, players can keep themselves occupied, Roughie. I think I remember you saying you went on the bus with some of your guys and started a game of poker, and some of the boys eventually came off the bus 5 hours later with no clothes on.
Yeah, that wasn't a card player. I was definitely not. I definitely not a card player, and I didn't want to be losing money before a game. But yes, you're right. It was wee John Craig, Tommy Craig's brother, who played cards up at the back of the bus, and he lost all his money by the time we got to, I think it was Stonehaven, where we had a pre-match, and by the time we got to Aberdeen, he had lost his trousers as well. And he had to come off the bus with no trousers on and walk into the stadium and into the dressing room. So, wee man had a bad day. I think he gets substituted as well.
Charlie, the great joy of it all is, and this is what builds up team spirit for these things, is the camaraderie and, of course, the noise-ups. Because if there's one thing footballers love is a noise-up, Charlie. Have you ever been involved in one where you've witnessed one that you just thought was an absolute classic?
Yeah, but it's not many that could, repeat on air. I think some of them have gone below the belt. But yeah, listen, I think team spirit. If you get the team spirit right, I think it gives you a long way of being successful. If you get the right group of players in the blend, then the lads are fighting for each other. It's great, and the lads will have seen the funny side of that of him walking off the bus with no trousers on. I don't think you can get away with it in this day and age, but it's. I've been in some great dressing rooms, and the banter's been brilliant.
No, you're absolutely right, Charlie. John Craig would have been arrested. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, one of my other favourites is Dixie Deans came to play with us, and we were playing Rangers in a cup tie, and the bell went for everybody to go out, so we're all standing in a line waiting to go out, and Dixie says, "Anybody want a bit of chewing gum?" So of course most footballers chewed chewing gum at that time, so he passed all the chewing gum round a bit. And then we went out onto the park, and they got a corner, and while we're standing there, every one of us had a green tongue. The chewing gum was one of the flavoured things. every player in the team had green lips, and a green tongue. It was absolutely. You wouldn't get away with that now as well.
I heard the story about a club in England that some of the players were playing past the coin. And basically, so during the game, they'd be playing the game and somebody'd have a coin in their hand. And if it was a corner, you just walk up to your teammate and pass them the coin. And whoever got left at the end of the game with the coin, there was a forfeit in the dressing room, or there was a forfeit after the game.
Oh, that's a good one. That takes a bit of work, Tam, doesn't it? That takes a bit of work to pull it off. And the reason why I left you to last, Tam, is because you are part of a group of people that we've been talking about all week. Hibs players, some of them who could have gone on to the absolute top of the game, but there's something missing mentally in the group that you were with.
we stole Big Yogi's motor. Big Yogi went to training and I was injured with a couple of other younger boys, and we took Yogi had this wee Suzuki Swift. I think he just used it to run a boot in. This wee white banger, and we got his keys out his pocket, and we drove it all the way to the other end of Leith. And Big Yogi came in after training and went to get his motor, and he was looking at it for about 20 minutes. Then he walk came. So that was one of the ones.
Airs one for you at the
time. I'll give you one there just before I go.
Got that? I've got one, but just remember.
Last game of the season, nothing to play for. We all put £20 in a hat to see who would get substituted first, and we all got names out, and we couldn't tell each other who we had. So while the games were getting played, it was a certainty Bobby Houston was going to get substituted, because we bet he didn't like him that much. And I remember when Dougie gets substituted, I remember Dougie Sumner doing a lap round the park as if he'd won like 200 quid. Everybody was wondering what he was doing because he had Bobby in his name.
That's a good one, Chaz.
I had one come to mind. We were playing away with Scotland national team at the time. I don't know if a lot of you will hear about him. Billy McCulloch, who was the masseur at Chelsea at the time, and he was working with Scotland at the time. So there was me, Snoddy, Hutton. There was a lot of us, Barry Bannon that were there, and Bill would just do stupid things like drink the milk, the massage oil and all that. So one night we've got him, and he's a strong lad. So we had to get about 6 or 7 of us all got him together, and the tape that you put, some of the lads put around the socks or around the shin pads or whatever. So we got about 5 or 6 rolls of that, and we tied them up. and we carried him out at Mar Hall, and obviously the golf course was there, isn't it? So we carried him and we stripped him naked, and tied him up, took him out there, and stole his clothes. But we threw him in a bunker, so he was like it, all like this, wrapped round with tape, couldn't move. He managed to get free, like no free, but like lads were helping him back out the bunker. He's got sand in his mouth and his eyes and all that, and we just left him, and he had to walk through reception with nothing on, and there was women and like people having a dinner and all that, and it was incredible, and the lads and the manager was raging.
I thought you get me with that.
One there before I finish. One there.
One never tell him he's gone there.
I think they'd all be arrested as well. Yep.
Yeah. One more. Ian Andrews at Werder Bremen. We're playing Werder Bremen over in Germany. I'm on the bench. He's playing, and we're sitting there. He was a bag of nerves, absolute bag of nerves. So he's got his boots and all that ready to go, and then he goes away to the toilet like 5 minutes before the game's going to start, and I listened to all the studs in his boots. I just got to think and listened to all the studs. So when they were walking out onto the park, all the studs were falling out his boots. He'd like 3 studs in one boot and 3 studs in another boot. He was like, "Oh, what am I going to do?" Oh my God!
And not a good keeper. High in confidence, if my memory serves me correct. You're a bad man, Roughie. Of course, listen, the worst thing that can happen at the end of this weekend, never mind players having a noise up with each other, is you get knocked out against a lesser team. Stenhousemuir are playing Kilmarnock. Kilmarnock have got the unknown goalkeeper from Hearts, Colin Doyle, and he says that's a big fear.
We've been in it long enough now, this COVID situation where there's no fans there, so we'll be used to it. We just got to go there in good frame of mind, and obviously if you look at the Hearts result in the last round, Boro beating them, you just know if you don't turn up on the day, and it's a given that they'll work hard, and every team works hard, tries to work hard, but we got to match that. If we work hard and we turn up, hopefully the quality will outshine them.
I'll tell you, when you look at Kilmarnock this season, Stenhousemuir might think we've got a chance here.
Yeah, definitely. I think they've got the opportunity, but I just think with Kilmarnock, they seem to have turned the corner with Tommy Wright in there and Kyle Lafferty. I just think they'll possibly be too strong for Stenhousemuir. But Stenhousemuir have traditionally always been a kind of giant killer. I can remember Terry Christie was the manager there, and they took some big scalps back in the day. So they've got a good cup pedigree, Stenhousemuir. But I think Kilmarnock, yeah, if they play a strong team, which I'm sure they will, I'm sure they'll put them Stenhousemuir out.
Yeah, I'm going to give a mention to a few people who regularly listen, and we love the people who've stuck with us through this whole year. Lots and lots of people, thousands on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter have joined us. A wee bit of banter, opinion, of course, interviews, and we'll try and continue that from the summer and beyond. Ronnie Chapman says, a wee shout out for Jan. She listens every day. Happy Easter. Yeah, well done. Ronnie's a regular who is on the show, so we're absolutely delighted that he stays with us. Every now and then he has a little noise up with everybody, but we like the banter on the Facebook and the YouTube from the sensible people. Now, as far as Aberdeen are concerned, Charlie, suddenly we know Scott Brown, and of course the other man, Alan Russell, will come in. All things have been equal. He's agreed a package, and he'll come in and work with whoever the new strikers will be.
Yeah, and listen, I'll not just be the strikers working with. I think as a coach, you've got to be working with everybody. Us specialised subject basically, or that his specialised coaching is in the strikers department, but he'll have an input as much as anybody in what goes on and in the training. So, listen, he's been working with Harry Kane is probably one of the best number 9s in the world. I see a difference in people like Raheem Sterling's finishing, Rashford's got better. And even when Vardy was there. So he's been working with top players. I know that the lads at England like him. So he's bringing something in to Aberdeen as well. So it's, listen, that's the team together now. And I probably would just like to see a little bit more experience, maybe just above them with somebody they can go to or whatever. But obviously you've got people like Willie Miller and Neil Simpson will be there as well. So no, they're moving in the right direction, Aberdeen. And I think they'll have a good season.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. I mean, a lot of people might not know, and this is where I think Aberdeen really will benefit. And I know people, I mean, I had a good laugh with Alan Russell at the PFA Awards, Tam, because he's a big shyness. He's a big, good-looking guy as well. He'd make you sick, absolute Adonis. The muscles are there, the hair. He's the type of guy you don't go to a nightclub with because you'd be sitting in the corner at the bar on your own. But nevertheless, I would say this to you, Tam. I've sat down with Alan and had a chat with him, and he showed me exactly the type of thing that he does with the England squad. And he will say to the strikers, this is where you are making runs. This is where the heat spot is. This is why you're not scoring. This is the type of run you should make. Here is your heart rate, your fitness going into the 70th, 80th minutes, and then what he does is he'll show relevant other players and how they play the game and where they like to make their runs to get the goals, and then of course working on the precision. So this is something that I think great for the boy. He has really got a niche for himself in the market. He works really hard at it, and I think Aberdeen have really got somebody good there by getting Alan Russell.
Yeah, definitely, Peter. I think he's, as you said, he's a specialist striking coach. I think when he went to America, I spoke to him about this. When you go and you play in America and you see other American sports, there is specialised coaches for every sport. So whether it's offence or defence, in the NFL, you've got a pitching coach, a batting coach, and different departments and different teams have got specialist coaches in there. So I think it's something that will get bigger in this country as well. But Alan's certainly probably the first person that's really went into it in detail. You see his videos, and as you said, he's got everything on iPads and technology and on spreadsheets, and he can tell strikers what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong. He watches the footage, so he works really, really hard at it, and he's brilliant at it. So I think that Aberdeen will benefit from that massively. I mean, you look at Aberdeen's goals record this season. I'm sure he'll be relishing going in there and trying to improve them, because I don't think they can get any worse in terms of scoring goals. So I think he'll be a big party up there, Big Alan. As you said, he's not the shyest, but I actually texted him last night and wished him all the best. So I think he's looking forward to it, and he's still going to be involved with England. So listen, it's great for him that he's at a big club at Aberdeen now.
Yeah, and if he is doing a PowerPoint, Roughie, the first thing he does when he gets to Aberdeen is just a big giant picture of the goals and the net, just to say to the Aberdeen players, this is what you're meant to hit the ball into, just to give them a start, just to give them a wee starter, so they know exactly what to do. Of course, listen, as well as Alan Russell, Scott Brown has mentioned the fact that he's excited for next season because Stephen Glass, the plans, and of course the chairman Dave Cormack. There's a big plan and strategy and philosophy in place.
He wants the best for the club, and as we do from next season, we want to push the club on as far as we possibly can, and he'll be a huge part of it. We'll work closely with him, and I think that's what you need to do. We need to build that reputation and try and get that good football team, but also that winning mentality into the team as well, and that's what he wants to build, that's what he wants to push into us as well, and now we need to make sure we deliver that.
To be perfectly honest with you, Tam, I'm not sure about Roughie, but certainly from my own point of view and you, I expect to be hired for the big Scott Brown Aberdeen dinner. I don't know how you feel about it yourself. I don't think they'll last rough. I'd like to think we get a mention, Peter, because we've done the wee question and answer with him last season, which got all the hits. Yeah. We got a banter with him, so we're right in there with Bruni, but Roughie's on the outside looking in, unfortunately. Yeah, absolutely, Roughie. There's nothing we can do about it. If there's a big dinner up
Sorry,
there,
Roughie.
I wonder if Scott's accent will change. I wonder if he'll start becoming an Aberdonian. You never know.
What's happening?
Look, now he's ready because Ian Noble's a big Aberdeen fan. Bonnie, you're kidding you. Some news coming out. Christoph Berra signed a 2-year deal with Wraith Rovers, Roughie. So clearly he's going to put Hearts behind him. He might do some coaching with under-16s at Hearts, but it's a 2-year deal at Wraith Rovers. Are you surprised by that move?
I'm a wee bit, but not surprised the way Wraith Rovers are going. Whoever's backing Wraith Rovers is really going about it the right way. I think we remember about 5 or 6 years ago they were they were in deep trouble with money, you know, but they've changed it round. They've bought some good players. They're on a good run just now. And everything's on the up, you know. Them, like Charlie, I'll be hoping they're in that playoff and hoping they can get a chance. What a change round for me. And Chris Sabera, yeah, we know the Premiership's maybe just a wee bit too far for him now, but he'll certainly be an asset in the Wraith Rovers team.
Yeah, it's Dunfermline Hearts this weekend, Tam. I don't know about you guys, Charlie. I think this is a big game for Robbie Neilson. This is a pressure one. This is the one for me that I think tips them over the edge if they don't get a win.
Yeah, no, I think the same. I think this is a big game for the whole football club. Two big disappointments in the last week or so against Brora and Queens. So, you know, they'll be looking at 13 points clear. They win tomorrow. A couple of clubs are in Scottish Cup action, having to, you know, we play Tuesday night, and the other one's behind as well. So, no, if they can win tomorrow, it'll put them in a big distance between everybody else. But, you know, in the Championship, you never know what can happen. You know, they've obviously lost 2 in the bounce, and, you know, you've got to try and hope that Dunfermline can feed off that pressure that they're under. But, you know, Dunfermline never helped themselves with the result they got against Wraith Rovers the other day. So they're going into the game with not great form, only 4 wins since November. So it'll be an interesting game, and, you know, I think for the league it'd be interesting to see if Hearts did get beat, what would happen.
Yeah, absolutely, because she's got a big call to make, Tam, because there's a real growing unease with Robbie in charge. Robbie himself says the remit is just win the league, but that's not cutting it with a lot of Hearts fans.
No, Peter, I don't think it should cut it. I think the Hearts fans have got every right to demand better performances. You know, okay, you're going and winning games, but you should be winning games. We've said it so many times on the show. Look at their squad. You know, they're paying guys £4 and £5 grand a week in the Championship. I mean, they're playing against not just guys that are on £3 or £4 grand a week. So they should be winning games, but they've got to do it with a bit of style and a bit of quality. And, you know, to lose to Brora Rangers and Queen of the South back to back, no matter how far they're clear, not good enough for the fans that are. Listen, Hearts, you know, I obviously give them a bit of ribbon now and again, but the supporters at Hearts are magnificent. They put in a lot of money into the club. They saved the club in the past, and they're going to be taking over the club from Ann Budge, the foundation of Hearts. So they've got every right to demand better from what they're getting. And I'm sure if they don't get a result at the weekend, then the pressure will be on even further on Robbie.
Yeah. Of the games that we mentioned there, is there any one that you've got in your mind that's a cup shock? Roughie, is there any game that you think is a cup shock?
I think if Motherwell don't turn up the way we know they can, and we've seen them being dire for Martin, a not bad Highland League side, they'll make it really, really hard for them. So they really have to turn up because they'll be in a battle. And if they were to score first, obviously nerves might kick in. So for me, it depends what Motherwell team turn up.
Okay, that's one. I'm going to go for the Queens to maybe.
I was thinking. Yeah, I was thinking the same.
Yeah, you going for that as well, Charlie?
Yeah, I was thinking Queens.
Queen of the South.
Early for a wine,
on the Astro.
Yeah, Queen of the South. Both of us, Charlie.
They're not beating the Cabbage. The Cabbage are unbeaten on AstroTurf this season. So just tick that one off as an away win.
Yes,
we'll see you on Wednesday. You going?
No, I don't know if we're covering it. It's on the BBC, so I might be out of shift. So can't believe the BBC have put it on the telly. I know, it's devastating.
No, absolutely.
My upset. Wraith Rovers at the Tony Macaroni. I think Wraith Rovers will beat Livy. There's my wee shocker for you. Heavily impressed with Wraith during the week.
I think we'll beat St Johnstone, but I don't think it'll be an upset.
No, I don't. I must admit, Charlie, I was looking at that and I thought to myself, you're well capable of beating St Johnstone, but it's not really viewed as an upset when you consider the monies are all on. We've
got a bigger budget St Johnstone.
No, there's no passing the coin with that mob, is there?
The old Yanks up there like that here. There you go.
Don't let St Johnstone kid you.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, talking of money, if you were one of the hottest properties in the world, Charlie, where would you want to play your football next season? Because
Well,
Erling Haaland has got a big call.
If I was Erling Haaland, I'd be sending my old man and my agent around the world in a private jet, asking where I can go, because the lad can go anywhere he wants next summer. Every club will want him, and he just has to find the best solution for him, where he's going to play every week and be the best player. So I would like to see him in England. I think the English game would suit him. So, Aguero leaving Man City, does that open an avenue for them? Maybe. But I'd like to see Liverpool go for him as well.
Yeah, I think it'd be great in English football, Roughie. The only problem is there's a few managers that don't like the agent. I mean, Mino Raiola is possibly the least favourite agent of everyone that you could think of in England, and certainly around Europe. A lot of people look and think he's not their cup of tea. Listen,
I think
with all due respect, I would apologise to him there. He's not. He's doing a job. I mean, I think the Premier League played out something like 38, 39 million in agents' fees. It's some amount of money that's going out of the game, Roughie.
No, I think that's why most of the clubs are peeved about it. That he works hard for his players, and he gets as much as he can for him and himself. So that's what they don't like. And we're not talking peanuts here. We're talking, as you say, we're talking millions. But at the end of the day, if these clubs want the best players, they know that they're going to get stung by somebody like him. And that's why they want the player that he's got. And he's doing a job like anybody else, whether you like him or not. I'm sure the players that are on his books aren't particularly unhappy about him.
Yeah, he wouldn't be greedy if he got McManus another move with huge wages. By the way, he'd be singing and spelling out Mino Raiola. In fact, and Cheryl's just told me. In fact, I think I read it wrong. I think it was maybe something like one individual club was maybe 30 or 40 million. It's 272 million for the entire Premier League. Yeah. So well done, Cheryl. Just coming into me there, Roughie. In a kind of a
well done, staunch Cheryl.
I heard
well done, staunch Cheryl.
No Mino Raiola, but another big agent that people will know that when the club wanted to sign the player, he went in and said, "This is the deal for me before this even happens." So that's what the agents are like. It's obviously difficult, but listen, they've got to look what's best for their client, and if the clubs want the client, they've got to pay the agent. Yeah,
I heard that, Charlie. I know exactly what you're talking about there with regards to the agent going in first and what he wanted in his wedge. Hey, changing times. There are English Premier League fixtures afoot as well. Chelsea against West Brom, Leeds United, Sheffield United, Leicester against Manchester City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Southampton, Burnley, Newcastle against Tottenham, Aston Villa, Fulham, Manchester United against Brighton, and it's Everton against Crystal Palace as well, because of course that was one of the things that we were all talking about, which is quite simply Crystal Palace and Newcastle. If those jobs come up, would that attract Eddie Howe, or is it going to be done and dusted? And of course, Wolves against West Ham United. What a fantastic season West Ham have had. So that's about it for today's programme. We've got competitions coming up in this month of April. I want you to try and stay tuned for that. I did mention that so many people have been just sending out some lovely messages to us. I mentioned Ronnie there. Neil Gray always listens. Ian Noble, Alison Carroll, Niall as well, Fiona Docherty, Stuart Ramsey. There's lots of people who actually tune in on a regular basis. Lindsay Buchanan. So to all of you who tune in on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter, thank you very much for all your compliments and all your sensible point of view on football. Yeah, absolutely. It does feel a bit like but I think you've got to mention them, Tam, because these are the type of guys that give you. We've got lots of women and men who absolutely love the show and love caning us as well, and of course they love looking at the designs. Your house has been an absolute eye opener, and I think if you look behind Charlie, that's a fair reflection of Charlie's personality. It's just Big Magnolia, and then Roughie with
and a
then
gold
Roughie
light
with all the
switch.
photos. Yeah, absolutely. Any chance, get us into another room so we can see all the mad strips you've got and everything. It would be an absolute cave full of brilliant strips. I know that for a fact when you consider your career. Anyway, apart from anything else, what are you going to do for Easter, Ruffy? What's happening? Are you an Easter egg man, or are you just chilling out? Because remember, you can have two of your mates over. You can, from one household, you're allowed two outside.
As soon as the show's finished, I've boiled my hard-boiled eggs and I'm going through to paint wee funny faces on them so that I can roll them down the hill on Sunday with my guests. How many am I allowed?
Yes, absolutely. Don't worry, boy. We'll have the drone up close to look to see where you are at your house. Charlie. I mean, apart from the game, it must be brilliant for you with the kids. They will love it. You must be the top dad.
No, little girl's got horse show this weekend, so she's packed off going to that. So I'm a free man after the game tomorrow, Peter.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, kids are gone, wife's gone.
You get to watch the football then?
Oh.
I'll be able to watch football. Training Sunday as well. So
just so I pick up on that, the kids and the wife are
going to a horse show. The little girl's got a horse show.
Thank God for that, by the way. I thought you were just giving us another one. The wife and the kids have gone. It's all over. I'm contemplating getting my hair done. I'm changing my life. I thought,
midlife crisis.
Charlie, shut up.
You haven't eaten Charlie Nicholas.
Quiet.
No,
exactly. Anyway, that's good. Tam, from your own point of view, with that wife of yours, she's in control in that house. What will it be for Easter for you?
Nothing really planned, Peter. I'm not quite sure of the rules, what you can do, what you can't do, but I'll probably just sit out in the back garden if it's quite nice.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. My daughter has been off. She's been off chocolate for a long period of time, and she cannot wait for Easter so that she can open up all her Easter eggs. And so she's as high as a kite. She knows there's only a couple of days to go, so we're certainly going to enjoy it. Anyway, apart from anything else, I hope you have a lovely Easter. Sorry I turned into the kind of a would-be DJ there, giving everybody a mention, but we value your support on the football show. Charlie, have a great game. Hopefully Dundee get the result you're looking for. And of course, Tam, hopefully you can get past the big Queen of the South with the Hibbies and Roughie. I think I think they can take Dundee United. What do you think, Roughie?
Well, this is their 100-year anniversary of winning the Scottish Cup, so it's a big year for us. So who knows?
Just hope he doesn't make any changes.
Yeah, don't make 8 changes, Roughie. Any chance you can?
Well, he can make as many changes as he like tomorrow. You could put me in goal tomorrow if he wants, as long as we beat East Fife and Tuesday.
No, you're all right. We're all right. Stick to painting your eggs.
The last word I'm going to leave is to Big Davy, who's just actually sent me a text. I kid you not. Just as we're about to say goodbye, Big Davy has said, is there any chance you could tell Roughie to straighten his pictures? See, when people are in lockdown, that's the kind of madness that everybody wants.
That gives me the fear.
Oh, Roughie's house
horrendous.
Looks as if it's had an earthquake and everything's been moved about and he hasn't put it back together. Right. But listen, we will try and get one of those little gadgets. It's a big yellow thing and it's got a spirit level on it, and you try and straighten your photographs. I'll try and get that for him and sort it out for you, Davey. From Roughie, from Tam McManus, Charlie Adam, and from myself, Peter Martin. Have a great Easter. Thanks for watching.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit